Good day class, especially to you, Coach Jude. I'm Angeline D. Farrell, little teacher and number 1 in this Study Hub 3. Now, I will be discussing about the abstraction of learner-centered teaching. Learner-centered teaching is an approach to teaching that focuses on student learning rather than on what the teacher is doing. Student-centered learning puts student interest first, acknowledging student voice as central to the learning experience. Students are active participants and more engaged in their learning. They make decisions about what they will learn and how. They work in collaboration. Learning is deeper and long-term. In learner-centered perspective, teachers must continually seek to understand how student learns so that they can effectively apply and adapt teaching strategies to meet the learning needs of their students. In short, learner-centered teaching is a way of teaching that focuses on students and how they learn rather than just on what the teaching does. It gives students more control over their learner and encourages them to take an active role in the process. Here's an easy breakdown of its key characteristic of learner-centered teaching. First is learner-centered teaching engages students the hard, messy work of learning. On any given day, in most classes, teachers are working much harder than students. Instead of teaching doing all the work, students take charge of their own learning by thinking, discussing, and solving problems. The second is learning-centered teaching includes explicit skills instructions. Learner-centered teachers teach students how to think, solve problems, evaluate evidence, analyze arguments, generate hypotheses, all those learning skills essential to mastering material in the discipline. Students don't just memorize facts, they learn how to think critically, solve problems, and analyze information. Number 3 is learner-centered teaching encourages students to reflect on what they are learning and how they are learning it. They challenge student assumptions about learning and encourage them to accept responsibility for decisions that may make about learning, like how they study for exams, when they do assigned reading, whether they revise their writing or check their answers. Students are asked to think about what they are learning and how they are learning. This helps them improve their study habits and learning strategies. And second to the last is learner-centered teaching motivates students by giving them some control over learning processes. Learning-centered teachers search out ethically responsible ways to share power with students. Teachers allow students to make choices about their learning, making them more motivated and responsible. The last one is learner-centered teaching encourage collaboration. Learner-centered teachers work to develop structures that promote shared commitment to learning. Learning is done in collaboration with others, helping students develop teamwork and communication skills. This approach makes learning deeper, more engaging, and longer lasting.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am Kahalan Fatima Rashiba A, second member in this study hub 2. So my topic for this afternoon is all about paradigm shift from teacher-centered to learner-centered teaching. So before we will start, I would like to give you a short recap all about a centered learning teaching foundation and characteristic of learning-centered teaching. Characteristic of learning-centered teaching. Learning-centered teaching engages student the hard, messy work of learning. So lastly is learning-centered teaching include implicit skills instruction. So that's all for my short recap. So now let's proceed to my topic. So paradigm shift from teacher-centered to learner-centered teaching to shift from teacher-centered to learner-centered teaching facilitates the adoption of new practices that applicable at present. The teacher's role from being a provider of information to being a facilitator of learning, the shift increases the engagement of a student in the learning processes and makes the learners more responsible for their own learning. Basically, paradigm shift in education from teacher-centered to learning-centered teaching, where teachers become facilitator in increasing student engagement, responsibility, and in motivation and fostering independence and personalized learning. So, paradigm shift is we have a philosophical perspective, which is a teacher-centered philosophy. First is essentialism. Essentialism is an American philosophy of education introduced by William Bagley in the 1930s and 1940s. It emphasized imparting necessary knowledge, skills, and aptitude to enable young people to function in the modern world, focusing on teaching basic subjects or core curriculum. So basically, essentialism is a teacher-centered philosophy that focuses on imparting necessary knowledge, skills, and attitude to enable students to function in the modern world. It teaches basic subject and core curriculum, emphasizing traditionalism and conservatism. Next is perennialism. Perennialism is a conservative and traditional philosophy that originated from Aristotle's rationalism. It assumed that human being ability to reason is essential to understanding existence and living. Perennialists believe in teaching timeless content in topics of everlasting importance, providing a foundation of lifelong learning and personal growth. Basically, perennialism is another teacher-centered philosophy that emphasizes teaching timeless content in topics of everlasting importance. It assumes that human nature is constant and that reason is essential to understanding existence, advocating for teaching things that have withstood the test of time.
Good day, class and Coach Jude. I'm Resibeya Q. Takuning, the third member, and today I'm going to discuss about the learner-centered philosophy. Progressivism. The proponents of this philosophy are William Kilpatrick and John Dewey. Emphasizes the idea that humans can improve and perfect their environment. It promotes learning by doing, where students learn best through relevant, interest-driven experiences. The curriculum is designed around students' needs, experiences, abilities, and interests. So, progressivism, supported by William Kilpatrick and John Dewey, emphasizes learning by doing, where students learn best through hands-on, real-life experiences. It promotes a student-centered curriculum based on their needs, interests, and abilities, making education more engaging and relevant. This approach develops critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills to help students adapt and improve their environment. Next, humanism. Humanism is a student-centered philosophy that focuses on individual development and innate goodness. It rejects good-oriented education and emphasizes personal choice in learning. Humanism aims to foster interest in all aspects of life, viewing learning as a personal act to achieve one's full potential. It considers the whole person, especially their growth and development over a lifetime. So, humanism is a student-centered philosophy that focuses on individual growth and personal choice in learning. It emphasizes innate goodness and helps students reach their full potential by considering their overall development throughout life. Next is constructivism. Constructivism is a learning theory that emphasizes active knowledge construction Learners create meaning individually and socially by combining new and old ideas. Learning is guided rather than directly presented by teachers, with interactions and discussions playing key roles. It equates learning with making sense of experiences. So, constructivism is a learning theory where students actively build knowledge by connecting new ideas with prior knowledge instead of direct construction. Teachers guide learning through interactions and discussion, helping students make sense of experiences. Number 2. Supporting research. Learner-centered teaching prioritizes students' needs, interests, and learning styles, fostering active participation and deeper engagement based on constructivism theory. It emphasizes that students learn best through experience and interaction. Research shows that active learning, personalized instruction, and collaboration improve critical thinking, problem solving, and knowledge retention. Continuous feedback and the teacher's role as a facilitator guides students' progress and independence, ultimately enhancing motivation and success. This approach aligns with the belief that learners should take ownership of their learning journey, leading to better academic outcomes. Number 3. Resistance to change. Managing the shift, people naturally resist change due to its difficulty and fear of the unknown. Students often resist learner-centered approaches for various reasons, with the four most common being: Number 1. Increased workload. Learner-centered approaches require more effort from both faculty and students. Students resist because they realize it demands more work. True educators see this as a valid challenge. So number 1, increased workload. Learner-centered approaches require more effort from both students and teachers, while educators see this as a beneficial. Students may resist because it demands more work. Number 2, fear of the unknown. Students resist learner-centered approaches due to unfamiliar policies, practices, and expectations, causing anxiety and self-doubt. So number 2, fear of unknown. Students may resist learner-centered approaches because they are unfamiliar with the teacher methods, expectations, and responsibilities. This uncertainty can lead to anxiety and self-doubt, making it harder for them to adapt to new ways of learning. So number 3, sense of loss. Learner-centered approaches challenge students by shifting responsibility to them, causing discomfort and longing for familiar, simpler methods. Resistance often stems from emotional attachment to past learning structures. So number 2, sense of loss. Since learner-centered approaches require students to take more responsibility for their learning, they might feel uncomfortable and long for traditional, teacher-led methods. This resistance often comes from an emotional attachment to past learning structures that felt easier and more predictable. Number 4, overwhelming challenge. Some learner-centered approaches may exceed students' abilities, leading to resistance, especially if task feels unfair or too difficult. So number 4 meaning is overwhelming challenge student. Students may resist learner-centered approaches if tasks feel too difficult or beyond their abilities, especially when they seem unfair or overly demanding. Faculty resistance. Faculty, colleagues, and administrator may also resist learner-centered approaches, which can be professionally discouraging. It's crucial to analyze the reason for their objections and find ways to address resistance when implementing these approaches. So, the meaning of this faculty resistance is teachers and administrator may resist learner-centered approaches, which can be discouraging for those trying to implement them. Understanding their concern and finding solutions is key to overcoming this resistance. Strategies in dealing with faculty resistance. Number 1, be mindful of the politics. Means understand the school policies and dynamics to navigate resistance effectively. Number 2, use the autonomy of your classroom. Means implement learner-centered approaches within your own class even if others resist. Number 3, do not seek to convert masses. Number 3, Do not seek to convert the masses. Focus on your own teaching rather than trying to convince everyone to change. Number 4, document the impact of your approaches. Means keep records of student progress to show the benefits of learner-centered methods. And lastly, number 5, find like-minded colleagues. Means connect with others who support these approaches for encouragement and collaborations.
Hello Coach Jude, hello classmate. My name is Jillian T. Atilano and I'm the member number 4 in this study of 3. So my topic is all about dimension of learner-centered teaching. Learner-centered teaching shifts the focus from the instructor to the student, emphasizing active learning and individual responsibility. According to Weimer, in 2002, outlines 5 key dimensions for achieving this. One of that is the function of the content traditional. Teaching often use content as simply information to the absorbed. Learner-centered teaching, however, sees content as a tool for deeper learning. It's not just about knowing facts, but it's about using them. Students should build appreciation for the value of the content. Understanding why the content matters makes learner more engaging. For example, in history class, connecting historical events to current social issues give context and relevance. Develop discipline-specific learning methodologies. Students learn how to approach problems and questions within a specific field. In science class, this might involve learning the scientific method and experimental design. Also, practice inquiry and disciplinary thinking. The content should encourage critical thinking and problem-solving skills within the subject's framework. A literature class might involve analyzing text for themes and symbolism. Learn to solve real-world problems. Applying knowledge to the real-life situations makes learner more meaningful and memorable. A businesses class should involve case study of actual companies. Make the content their own. Active learning strategies such as discussions and projects allow students to process and internalize the information. Develop an organization framework for learning. The content should help students structure their understanding and build connections between different concepts. A math class could use a problem-solving framework to approach different types of equations. See how the content applies to the future. Connecting the content to the students' future goals and careers makes learning more relevant and motivating. Number 2, the role of the instructor. The instructor role changes from lecturer to facilitator. They foster a learning environment, creating a supportive and inclusive classroom where students feel comfortable taking risks and asking questions is crucial. Accommodate different learning styles, recognizing the students learn in different ways and providing a variety of learning activities caters to diverse needs. Align objectives, methods, and assessment, ensuring consistency between what is taught, how it's taught, and how it's assessed is essential for effective learning. Utilize multiple teaching techniques. Varying teaching methods keep students engaged and caters to different learning preferences. Design interactive activities. Activities that encourage student interaction with the materials, the instructors, and each other promote active learning. Motivate intrinsic learning. focusing on the inherent value of learning rather than external rewards, foster and deeper and more sustainable understanding. Number 3. Responsibility for learning. In a learner-centered classroom, students take ownership of their learning. This means they are active participants, not passive recipients of information. They are responsible for asking questions. Students should feel empowered to seek clarification and explore their own curiosity. They participating in discussions, sharing ideas, and engaging in collaborative learning enhance understanding. Completing assignments, taking responsibility for meeting deadlines, and completing tasks demonstrate commitment to learning. Seeking help when needed, recognizing when they need assistance, and actively seeking support from the instructor or peers is a sign of responsible learning. Reflecting on their learning. Regularly reviewing and assessing their understanding helps students identify areas for improvement.
Good day, class and Coach Jude. I'm Christian Igalvez, the 5th member of Study Hub number 3, and now I'm gonna tackle the purposes and processes of assessment in learner-centered teaching. First, purposes of assessments. Monitoring student progress. This allows for timely adjustments to instruction and personalized guidance. Next is informing instructional decisions. By understanding students' needs and learning gaps, instructor can tailor their approach to maximize learning outcomes. Next is enhancing learning assessment. Assessment can be used as a powerful learning tool. Evaluating student achievement. Assessments are used to evaluate student learning at specific points in this time, providing a measure of their overall progress and achievement. Next, evaluating programs. Assessment can be used to evaluate the effectiveness of educational programs, policies, and teaching methods. Processes of assessment. The process of assessment in learner-centered teaching is characterized by, first, formative assessment. This type of assessment is ongoing and integrated into the learning process. Observations. Observing student engagement and participation in class activities can provide valuable insight into their understanding and progress. Discussion. Facilitating discussions and asking questions to gauge students' comprehension and encourage critical thinking. Short quizzes. Regularly administering short quizzes to assess understanding of key concepts. Peer feedback. Encouraging students to provide feedback on each other's work, promoting collaboration and self-reflection. Summative assessment. It provides a snapshot of student achievement and can be used to inform future learning. Examples include exams, projects, and portfolios. Next, the balance of power. In a learner-centered classroom, the balance of power shifts from the instructor to the students. This means that the students take ownership of their learning. They are actively involved in setting learning goals, choosing learning activities, and assessing their own progress. Next, instructors become facilitators of learning. They act as guides, mentors, and coaches, supporting students in their learning journey. Conclusion. Learner-centered teaching changes how we see teachers and students. Tests help students learn and teachers teach better. Everyone works together so students learn more.